Whoever decided to put carrot in a cake is an absolute genius. Hi, I'm Becca and I'm here at the Waitrose & Partners Cookery School, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this absolutely delicious carrot cake with my all-time favourite cream cheese icing. The link to the recipe is in the description below, so I definitely recommend you give it a try and have some of your very own. So we want about 250 grams of grated carrot. Now we can start mixing the batter for the cake mix. So I've got 300 mils of vegetable oil in this bowl. So we've got 5 eggs to add into the oil. Then into the eggs and the oil, we're going to add our brown sugar. So we're using dark brown sugar today, and I've got 350 grams. Add it all into the bowl, and then we can mix this together before we add in any of our other ingredients. So I think it seems like quite a lot of sugar, but we are making 16 portions of cake here. And the brown sugar is actually going to add a lovely depth of sweetness to this cake and moisture as well. Next, we're ready to add in all of our dry ingredients. So I've got 350 grams of self-raising flour here. Then we've got our spices. I'm going to start with 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. Then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and this is going to give a little bit of extra rise to the cake just as it goes into the oven and starts cooking. Half a teaspoon of ground cloves, and we're going to grate in half a nutmeg. And the last dry ingredient is half a teaspoon of salt. Once you've added all of your dry ingredients, you just want to combine these together with the wet ingredients. So carrot cake mix is quite a wet mix, so you're looking for quite a runny mixture once everything's combined. So once all your dry and wet ingredients are mixed together, we're going to zest in some orange. So we want to do about half this orange. You could use lemon if you wanted to, if you didn't particularly like orange or if you didn't have an orange, but I think orange does work best with carrot cake. So next we're going to chop up the walnuts ready to go into the mix. I've got 100 grams of walnuts here. The walnuts have been toasted in the oven for 10 minutes. I always do this with all my nuts when I'm baking. It just helps bring out all of the delicious flavours. So we just want to roughly chop these. It doesn't need to be exact. I quite like having different sized pieces of nuts in the cake. Like you can get some big bits to bite into, and also just some smaller bits that just add loads of flavour. Personally, if I wasn't adding nuts into the cake, I'd probably add some sultanas in instead. I think they add a really nice little bite of sweetness. Once your nuts are roughly chopped, you can get them straight in the bowl with everything else. Lastly, all we need to do is add in our grated carrots, and then we'll mix it all together, ready to go in the tin. There is quite a lot of mixture here now, so do make sure you've got a big enough bowl to combine everything together. So I've got my tin here greased and lined with baking parchment, and I've just made sure that my baking parchment comes up above the tin a little bit. And then you can just pour it all in. So the cake's ready for the oven. We're going to put it in a 180 degrees fan for about 50 minutes to an hour. If the cake looks like it's browning too quickly, you can cover it with some foil to stop it from burning on top. So whilst your cake is baking in the oven, you can make your cream cheese icing and then keep it in the fridge until you're ready to ice. So we're going to start off by combining together the butter and the icing sugar, and then I'm going to use my electric hand whisk to combine these together, get it really nice and fluffy. Once the icing sugar and butter is combined, we're going to add in the cream cheese. Today I'm using the Essential Waitrose soft cheese. This is perfect for a smooth, tangy icing. It is important to use full fat soft cheese for this icing. You can't really use half fat. It sort of goes very runny and it's not going to stay on top of your carrot cake. So our icing is pretty much ready, but we're going to add in some zest of the orange and also some juice as well, just to make it super tasty. So I've got the orange I used earlier for my cake, and I'm going to use the other half in the icing. So we want to put in about a tablespoon of orange juice, or just a good squeeze. Just run the juice through your hands so you can catch any pips that might be in the orange. Mix that all together to make your super tasty icing. We're going to pop the cream cheese icing in the fridge to firm up before we ice the cake. So now is time to ice the cake. The icing's been cooling in the fridge for about 20 minutes, so it's ready to go. The cake has cooled and I've turned it upside down on the cooling rack, so we've got a nice flat surface to ice. And we're going to pop it onto the board that I want to serve it on. So you want to get all of the icing in the middle of the cake, and then we can use a palette knife to spread it out and get a nice finish. I like a rustic looking carrot cake, so you don't need to be too exact with the icing. Just get it on, spread it out evenly, and then you can just put in some little curls if you want to, little swirls on the top. So it's looking pretty good, but I think some orange zest on top will just finish it off perfectly. Adding that little extra hint of colour, I think makes all the difference. So I'm going to cut the cake into 16 pieces. I would say this cake is definitely good for sharing, but I do really like carrot cake, so I would be tempted to keep the whole thing. Okay, there we go, 16 yummy slices. It looks so good, I can't wait any longer. I'm going to get myself a piece now. That is fantastic. The cream cheese icing is so good against the spices of the cake, and I really like the crunch of the walnuts. So you can keep this cake for 3 to 5 days. I would keep it in an airtight container in the fridge just to keep that cream cheese icing nice and fresh. This is an absolute classic. You all owe it to yourselves to try this recipe out at home. You definitely won't regret it.